Well, good evening, everyone. Again, a delight to be on this call with you. Tonight is going to be about a healthy home showcase and the opportunity to share with you what is called technology that is a market disruptor, and technology that you're going to want to all know about because of the fact that we're talking about ActivePure technology. This ActivePure technology is what mimics what is going on already in nature. That's called the sun, the wind, the rain, and lightning. And we get to bring that, what is called outdoors, indoors. It smells like the freshness of outdoors, indoors. You know, sometimes you begin to say, you know what, I never realized how stale my house was. But when somebody comes to your home, and can you just like imagine for a minute, you know, when you walk into somebody else's home, you say it has a special odor. I know that my sister had her daughter come home from college and brought 2 cats home. And you know, the garage got a special odor. And sometimes when you live with your little creatures, you don't even know that it smells that way until somebody else comes into your space. So here it is. We're going to be talking about technology that actually is going to gift your life. And that's the best part of the story. And you're going to hear a testimonial that actually how it has saved lives. And we might be talking about cat lives and people lives, and because of the fact that some people cannot live in those spaces with what's going on. So today is game-changing time because of the fact that we have technology. So honored and privileged to introduce to you Steve Carmichael, who is a respiratory therapist, had a business all about respiratory, understands what goes on with the lungs and how that impacts even the brain function and everything. Lori was a, can I say a pipe fitter? And she did, you know, kind of like did some, you know, I'm going to say, was it fire sprayer?
Fire sprinklers. I installed fire
There it is. That is it. Okay. And so, you know, being in that world of understanding where there's mold. So here we are today, understanding that we have technology that will address the issue that's at hand. So Steve and Lori, I'm going to hand it over to you with great honor and privilege to say thank you for presenting this great technology tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Liddy. Thanks for always bringing your smile and your wisdom. And we appreciate everybody that's on the call. Takes time, takes some energy. You know, you have to invest in yourself if you expect to get a return on your investment. Well, making yourself a little wiser, a little smarter, a little more savvy in the world in terms of dealing with all of our living spaces, right? And as Liddy mentioned, you know, as a really a former respiratory therapist, but it really never leaves you. I spent 5 years at a level 1 trauma center, and we dealt with, you know, some really crazy injuries and serious diseases. And you know, I have always a visual picture in my brain about the nose, the mouth, the trachea, all the plumbing, if you will, that goes on in the lungs, and what the body is actually trying to do, which is to be a filter. It's attempting to block the threat from getting in. And as all of you probably know, the threats today are greater than they ever have been. They fall from the sky. They fall from birds. They come from everywhere. They come from the chemicals that people clean with. And so we're really in this healthy home showcase sort of theme. It's about providing people solutions for the various problems that we have, whether it's in our home, it's in our workplace, our places of worship, our cars, our trucks, our boats, you know, classrooms, gyms, nail salons, you name it. There's not a place really, or a space that doesn't deserve to have this technology. And more importantly, there's not people or kids that don't deserve to have this technology running in their living space. So I find it fun and interesting that this technology was born in space, and yet it's here today to address our space. And we know that this technology, just, you know, kind of from a 30,000 foot view, it's not about filtration, and it's not about chemicals. right? That's old stuff. And maybe if you look closely right behind me at the back of our kitchen there by the fridge, you can see a microwave oven. And not many people embrace that sucker when it first came around. And I would guess it was probably in the 60s. I remember the first one that I saw. I mean, it was built into an expensive house that I was just a visitor, and I didn't even know what it was. And it had a heavy metal door, and it was not real pretty, but it worked. So just like that microwave rapidly began to be accepted, like other technologies. So Lori thought it would be nice to maybe bring out some old remembrances. Now, this isn't an ancient phone, all right? Some of you probably grew up with one that had a dial. That's what ours had before you got to the, what do they call it, the touch tone phone. So this old technology, most of you, I'll bet some of you on this call have one of these still in your home, a landline, right? But most people have gravitated towards a cell phone. They've gravitated towards anything but that technology. And our belief is in the 18 or 19 months that we've been associated as a brand partner with Vollara, that ActivePure technology, no matter what device it comes out of, it's going to be like the microwave. It's going to be like the old touch tone phone. Those things are going to go by the wayside, and they got replaced with new technology. Well, guess what? Old forms of chemically treating a space, old forms of trying to, turn over the air in a space. You can't turn over the air in a space fast enough or frequently enough to do anything near what these devices will do. And we're going to give you a quick spin on them. So one of the things that we like to use is the Fresh Air Personal. And there we go. It comes with a lanyard, and Lori likes to wear hers around the neck. I like to just clip mine on. And for tonight's presentation, we have Monique, a microbiologist, and she's gonna give us a little bit of lowdown on the Fresh Air Personal and what it does.
Thank you, Steve and Laurie. And, in my journey, my quest has always been looking for the best of the best in any category. Technology, nutraceuticals, that's what I'm about. And to find Vollara and all the products that we have are the best of the best in their category. And, we just went through this season of mask wearing, and it seems like people are starting to wear masks again. And this personal air product is you can wear any place that you go, and it's going to give you a safe space. And starting out my career at CDC, I use their statistics when they're valid. And I went to a school board meeting last year. The superintendent of one of the largest counties in Georgia had done his due diligence and was giving an overview of COVID. And he gave the statistic about CDC had done a study at the front end of COVID of 90,000 students. And their conclusion with 90,000 participants, there's no statistical difference between wearing a mask and not wearing a mask. I hope that you hear that. This device, though, creates a safe space around you. And what's happening when we are in crowds, when somebody coughs, there's about 3,000 particulates that come out of a cough. When they sneeze, there's about 40,000 particulates coming out of their nares. When we just exhale, we're exhaling about 60% of our own toxins. So I want you to just think about when you're in a room with people, what's going on. Wouldn't you want to have a safe space? And that's what this will give you. So really excited about all the disruptive technology, the disruptive nutraceuticals, and we're going to show you those tonight. So thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Monique. So what she has shown you is a device that has multi-point brush ionization. Doesn't neutralize anything, but it gets it out of your breathing space about 200 times faster than what gravity can do. So it's kind of a, a little front line of defense. And it's good to understand that technology so that when we go to this technology, I have enough cord. Oh, I don't have enough cord, so it'll be off. That's okay. It's just a black box. All right. This is our Air and Surface Pro Plus. And you can see my chandelier in it. It's very shiny. It's kind of like a black box. It's like a speaker. And it weighs about 7.5 pounds. It burns about 43 watts of energy. So when you think about the ecological aspects of this, it's a very, very small drain energy-wise. And this will cover 2,000 square feet in a home. And so one of the things that we like about this black box, it's the Plus, the Air and Surface Pro Plus, and the Air and Surface Pro period is a little different. And I'll just explain that right now. So this black box has that multi-point brush ionization, which takes particulate matter out of the breathing space. So think about dust and pollen and odors and things like that. And it also has the ActivePure technology working in there. So this is the advanced form of what was originally developed for the International Space Station and what ultimately, once developed, made its way into the space station, the International Space Station Hall of Fame, with some items like LASIK and GPS. I think those were inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year. So we kind of refer to this, well, Liddy does, and that's why we do, as the silver bullet. So you can see that honeycomb matrix. That's where the air flows in through. Inside of this, there's a UV light, a UVC light that's at a certain wavelength. It's not about ultraviolet trying to take out pathogens. It's about providing inside this little box the equivalent, if you will, of what the sun's doing outside. And as Liddy mentioned earlier, we bring in what happens outside in creation with electricity and moisture in the air and oxygen and the sun, the ultraviolet lights. Those all work together to create all these cleansing molecules. That's why it's so healthy when we get outside, especially when it's sunny, or we get down to the beach or by a waterfall. How much fresher, how much better the air feels, and usually how much better we feel when we're doing that. So there's 4 rare earth metals that are electroplated inside of this, and that along with that UV light and this honeycomb design, it's allowing this box to create these cleansing molecules, these hydroxyl molecules. So what's really important to understand, and Liddy's used this, Lori likes to use it, and so do I now, is using a bubble machine when we do exhibits, because it's a simple way to show people, see how these bubbles come into the air, and everybody likes it, everybody smiles when they see bubbles, and then we can just explain to them, that's what this device is doing. It's putting out millions of hydroxyl molecules out into the air, about 1,200 feet per second, and treating the air and all the surfaces. So imagine wherever air can go, this device is sanitizing the air and the surfaces, including how it pulls it up in through your cold air returns. So it's going to treat any mold or mildew up in your ductwork. And as Liddy mentioned about mold, it's a bigger problem, than what most people know about or what most people understand. But we have the science behind this equipment to prove out that it actually does what the company says it does. So when we say it does, and when we're compliant, we say it the way the company says that this is how it does it, this is how it works, then we can look people in the eye and be assured that we're presenting to them or sharing with them something that actually works, something that can actually change their lives. If you can change somebody's health and knock it up a few notches, you're gonna change somebody's life. So the difference, just so you understand, between an Air and Surface Pro Plus is this has the ability to generate ozone. So if you like ozone, you can turn this on. It gives you a little faster odor reduction, VOCs, things like that. But not everybody likes ozone. Some people love it. Lori's about a 8 on a 10. I'm probably about a 6. And just like the thermostat in our house, you know how people will ratchet it up, ratchet it down, depending on if you like hot or cold. Yeah, we kind of mess with that button on each other. I can tell when it's on. I'll knock it down. Lori can tell when it's lower. She'll knock it up. But here's the thing. It's important that when we address entities such as schools or even churches, those are pretty good examples, that you have quite a variety of people. You have a large constituency of people who have no smell, very sensitive to smell, and everything in between. And so for simplicity's sake, that's typically the Air and Surface Pro, which is certified, by the way, to not produce ozone. And so it's great that we have these tools that we can do that with. So
Ken Meadows actually asked, what's the difference compared to a filter? Well, I could answer that. A filter, you can't, okay, as far as surfaces go, things don't jump off and go into a filter and get cleaned. And we can't turn over the air fast enough to clean the air and sanitize the air. So what ActivePure does is have the hydroxyl molecules that go out, like we said, the bubbles go out after the pathogens, the viruses, the bacteria, the mold, and eliminate it. That's the difference.
yeah, so no chemicals, no filter. So and to punch on to what Lori said, a filter can only filter what it's capable of filtering. So you think about this, and this ties in well maybe with Monique's comments about masking. No statistical difference, masking, not masking. So that mask, the common blue mask, the pores on that are about 85 to 95 microns. That's pretty big. And the family of coronaviruses is around 0.1. So that mask isn't going to stop them. And a filter, even a good HEPA filter, is only capable of filtering what it's capable of, and it can filter down to about 0.3 microns. So at 0.1, it just flies right through. It does. The filter doesn't what's what I'm looking for. It doesn't denature anything. It doesn't kill anything. It just traps what it can trap. So that I hope that helps, because it's a big difference. And I kind of back to the bubbles. You know, doesn't matter how many times we talk to people, they'll keep referring to this technology as. So what does that filter do again? We're just like, oh, first of all, it's not a filter. And sometimes we'll just share, hey, it's got a filter on the back to protect the insides of the unit. That's what that filter is really there for. So I hope that helps. So 2,000 square feet on this black box, okay? And then we have the AP500. This is a pretty cool little device. This will do 250 square feet, putting out ActivePure molecules. It's a great little unit for, you know, a smaller office or a masseuse room. It's nice because I think you can see that. All right. So it's going to rob initially when you plug it in, it's going to rob your socket, right? Well, nobody wants that to happen. So they build sockets in, one on each side. And then it'll also, you know how you screw on that little plate on your socket, that'll come off, longer screw. You can bolt this in. So imagine like in a school bathroom or a church bathroom, someplace where, you know, somebody nefarious might want to just run off with it. You can lock it down. And that's a pretty nice thing about it. So you go down from 2,000 to
I'll be your Vanna White.
to 250. Now we're down to the Fresh Air Mobile. And this is an amazing little device because it is the miniaturization of the technology in the Air and Surface Pro. So again, you can implement ozone with it or not. And you can have your ActivePure molecules coming out. So everywhere we travel, we have this in the car. Everywhere we travel, we have this in the car. And wherever we sleep, typically at Airbnbs, we're going to run this unit. And in the car, we're always going to run this,
And when I get my teeth cleaned, I bring this into the dental office.
which
Yep.
makes the room a little cleaner than what it was. And it's a nice little business card. So,
Yes,
huh.
yeah.
And it'll just plug into your receptacle. If I don't know, they still call them a cigarette lighter, but you all know what I mean. And it also can plug into a 110 outlet. So that's kind of nice. And then what Lori's got here is the pet refresh. And this is for small spaces, maybe a laundry room, maybe the socket nearest to where your pet eats, sleeps, or does his or her thing, you know? And it's going to use ActivePure molecules to get to the root cause of the odors. And so that's kind of a nice thing. And it's certainly one of the things that as you look around the world, everybody's going pet crazy. And part of it is 2 years of a lockdown. A lot of people got pets. And I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of strays around one of these days, but hopefully not.
Might even be a good idea for a teenager's bedroom.
Yeah, like one in every socket if you've ever had teenagers. So that's all we're going to do on air for now. I'm going to grab this. We're not going to talk a lot about it, but it is a pretty incredible item. This is called Steady Power. All right. And you have this gets wired in. This isn't something I'm going to do, and it's not something you're going to do unless you're a licensed electrician. But the Steady Power is going to regulate the power coming into your home. All right, so it's going to stabilize it. It's going to get rid of if you have white noise with your TV, if you run a radio and reception is tough. But importantly, this is what lightning will try to take out instead of your panel or your electronics in the house. Okay. And one of the interesting things about how most energy companies bill you is if during the month there's a power outage, for example, that would probably be the biggest example. And then you don't think to or don't know that when the power goes out, it's a good idea to go around, shut your furnaces or ACs off, shut down the things that you can. So when the power comes back on, it doesn't create this giant spike. Well, even small spikes or big spikes, that's what the power company uses that month, your highest peak for your billing rate. So there's savings with this device. And what's really cool, this has a 10-year warranty. And as long as you have it installed by a licensed electrician, there's a $25,000 policy that comes with it. So that if anything gets through this box and hurts some of your electronics, you have $25,000 insurance policy to back that up. So that's a pretty cool device. So we're going to feature this a little more often. But again, I could hook this up. I'd blow us up.
And what's really cool, you guys, we had one electrician come out this week who owns an electrical company who's been in town for like 30 years, never seen anything like it. And then we share the other technology. So we have 2 other electricians coming out
to give us a quote to mount it, because
Yes.
I'm not doing it.
So we'll be choosing who's going to be the best, or maybe they all want to use it, you know? So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll keep you updated.
Yeah, so now I have an opportunity to brag on Lori and her past sprinkler fitter pipe cutting world that she was in for 29 years. She was the first sprinkler fitter in Chicago, downtown Chicago, installing fire sprinklers all the way from the big pipe that comes into a building down to the little sprinkler heads and everything in between. And so many of you, I've recognized a lot of names I know have seen the ActivePure, and I'm going to grab it and show you. And Lydia, you'll get a kick out of this because I think you might have gotten the first one of these, the stand for the ActivePure.
It was kind of fun to use my skills again.
So Lori made this stand so that we can have this at exhibits. And what's really cool, let me just say this, ActivePure comes out of this box. And what goes into the box is the cold water from your house. So instead of the cold water going from your house through the hose and into your washing machine, it's going to go from your house into one of these ports. And it's going to come out of this port and go into your washing machine. And so the only thing going into your washing machine now is LaundryPure 2.0 with ActivePure in the cold water. So you're not paying to heat hot water. You're not using any soap. You're not using any fabric softeners, just LaundryPure water. So this little portable stand also then allows us now, we haven't done it yet, we'll tell you about it when we do, to go to somebody's home so they can actually try this. So this can sit on their dryer, their washer. We can hook it up on a portable basis and let them, have it for a week or whatever and try it out. Not everybody's going to do that. Most people just buy it, but
Yeah, show them the back. It's hooked
So-
on, yeah.
yeah, it just hooks on with a couple of screws. And this, the recommendation is that this gets installed by a plumber, a licensed plumber. Well, I can tell you that this is real. If you know how to like change the hoses under your toilet or under your sink, and you're comfortable doing that, using some Teflon tape, this is a real easy install because you basically bolt it to the wall. And if you can hook up hoses to the back of your washing machine, you can probably handle this, or have some handy person help you out.
And you guys, I'm still very excited about that diverter valve that we're able to clean everything with. So we got the diverter valve in the back office, and I'm using that, actually cleaned my carpets this weekend with the LaundryPure water. And what was really cool, the video is in the testimonial group, but what was really cool, how quickly the carpeting dried. Because again, you're not using the chemicals. And I noticed the same thing when we wash the clothes and dry them, they dry a lot quicker. And so you're saving energy when you don't have to run the dryer as much. You're saving energy, not using hot water. And we're seeing all these things go up, right? So it's just a good, we're saving in so many ways.
But in particular, we don't walk around or sleep in material that's still saturated with quats, as Liddy calls them, quaternary ammonia.
Yes.
It's a toxin. It's in all the soaps. It doesn't matter if you get an hypoallergenic soap or whatever. So,
but streak-free cleaning. Steve cleaned his golf clubs. I cleaned my bike, the windows. You don't need any of this window cleaner, nothing.
I think the thing that amazed me most was being able to use water on our stainless steel refrigerator and that it would clean it. Because I've used, I had an apartment building had an elevator in it, all this stainless fingerprints on it all the time, using those foam sprays and different things. They stunk, and you were breathing it, and they really didn't do that great of a job. I couldn't believe the water would take this off. So I want to make sure that we have time for Liddy. You have, is David on, that we can go ahead and do his share. I think he has a testimony for us.
As a matter of fact, I have to say, it is a great honor and a privilege to actually have David Cobb with us this evening. And David Cobb is somebody that has been somebody that called me one day. We started dialoguing about what he could do to help, children in school systems and so on. But then about a week ago, he said, do you know how this technology has saved my family? I said, David, I have no idea. So David, if you can unmute yourself, that would be great. And if you would come forward and share your story about what this technology called ActivePure has done to impact what is called your environment and what it has done to assist what is called your family. So David Cobb, a man that is a lover of living and a lover of this technology because of what it's done. David.
Hey, how's everyone doing this evening?
Blessed and highly favored.
I'm blessed and highly favored. It's a quiet group tonight, but nonetheless, I didn't know that I could use the LaundryPure for my golf clubs. I just left the course not too long ago. Thanks for that tip. Okay. Nonetheless, I'm going to say, you guys, ActivePure technology is I would say probably one of the 7 top technologies to ever touch Earth. Personally, what it's done for me, I'm not going to speak on the financial side, but it's changed my life there dramatically. But me and my wife, we have 2 homes. We have one in Dallas and we have one in Chicago. And we came back to our Chicago home the first week of December, because we wanted to have a white Christmas. You know, you don't have those in Texas. But nonetheless, after 2 weeks of being there, we noticed one morning that the house was cold, but we had the heat up high. The thermostat was working properly. It was working properly. But I called the HVAC company to come out. They came out and immediately said, we have to shut this furnace down. We have to shut it down right now by state law. They said, Mr. Cobb, we want you to look inside your furnace here with flashlights. You have major cracks in your furnace. I said, really? So he showed me, and sure enough, it was. And he says, we'll get someone out here. We know it's pretty cold outside. We'll get your furnace put in probably by tomorrow morning. If you can get some space heaters, do whatever you need to do, da, 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 da. But we're going to have to shut this down. And then he says, has anyone here had any major nosebleeds or any severe headaches? And I said, no. He says, well, you got your carbon monoxide detector. I see it right above here in your theater room, and it's the light screen, so it's working. He said, it never went off. I said, no. I said, I have them all throughout the home. He said, that doesn't make sense. I says, okay. And then I thought about it. I said, I've got an Air and Surface Pro in my home, right? So my wife came downstairs and she was hearing what they were saying, and she was like, wow, David, it's the Air and Surface Pro. Wow. So I took them guys upstairs, I showed it to him, and he went on through my home and looked in some other areas to see if my carbon monoxide detectors were working and so forth and so on, and they were. And my wife says, you know what, baby, we need to call the gas company to come out. Where I live, when you call the gas company to come out, they're sending out the fire department, right? And I live in the cul-de-sac. I said, really? I don't want all the neighbors, da, da, da. But nonetheless, they sent out the fire truck. They told us immediately we had to get outside the home. Well, the fire department came in with their outfits and their gauges and all that kind of stuff, took them down to the furnace. I went down there with them. And they looked at the furnace, and they had the gauges going. They went in my theater room, went in my sump pump area, went through my entire home. 0, 0, 0, 0 on their meters. And they were like, this doesn't make sense. He said, did you have major cracks in your furnace? I says, yeah. He says, let us look at the furnace. They looked at the furnace. They was like, this does not make sense. And I said, hey, my godson was sleeping down here. He was home from college. My daughter was home from college. Me and my wife were upstairs, and we ran this furnace for 2 weeks. He said, this doesn't make sense. I took him upstairs. I showed them the Air and Surface Pro. They were blown away. They were like, we've never seen anything like this. You should have carbon monoxide all through your home. And if you said someone was sleeping there, then they should have died, because they're right next to the furnace. And obviously, if you guys are running this for 2 weeks, no one should be living in here. I was like, wow, this thing saved our lives.
Wow.
So I was sharing that with Liddy, because we don't even list carbon monoxide on any of our literature, right? And I've sold quite a few machines throughout my little short career here with ActivePure technology. But when it's all said and done, it doesn't list carbon monoxide. So I immediately called Liddy. I'm like, Liddy, and told her the story. And I talked to some other constituents, and I said, man, do you know this eats up not just RNA viruses, DNA viruses, SARS, COVID, Corona, whatever. It eats carbon monoxide. So I actually filmed it, and I'm probably the worst person with a camera. And as these guys were going through my home, the firemen, Liddy, I just shot you over a clip of that video. I found it. I just sent it to you just now. And I thought I had the record button hit as they were walking through with their outfits and all their gauges and all of that. And then they explained to me that there was absolutely no carbon monoxide found in my home.
Wow.
Unbelievable. I would not be here today talking to you guys. My godson would have died first because he was in a theater room, fell asleep there. And then my daughter, carbon monoxide, you don't smell it. It just goes through and it kills, right? So this technology is real, folks. It is real, okay? So I would liken it to Pac-Man, where it goes out and chews up everything in the air. And then as it turns into a residue and it hits whatever surface that is hitting, it now scrubs the surfaces. And I do what's called an onion test. Well, you can take an onion, put it on the back of your hand, put it over your Air and Surface Pro. In 90 seconds, it's gonna pull out of your skin, not only the odor, but it's just gonna cleanse your skin. Now your skin is porous. What do you think it's gonna do for a doorknob? What do you think it's gonna do for a table or chairs? Anything that's a solid surface. Of course, if it cleans a porous surface like your skin, oh my God, it's gonna clean anything. So if you want 24/7, 365 real-time protection in any indoor space, you would definitely have to use ActivePure technology. There's nothing like it in the world. That's why it's in NASA's Hall of Fame, and that's why it's a Class 2 medical device. So any of you guys on this call, take advantage now, because just like GPS and just like satellite technology, the world's gonna know ActivePure technology. It's gonna be a household name, and you have the opportunity now to take advantage of that and earn greatly. And save.
Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, what a powerful testimony.
Yeah,
David Cobb.
I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be here right now. But more importantly, me and my family wouldn't be here.
Yep.
We wouldn't be here.
Yep.
Actually, carbon monoxide is addressed under VOCs.
Oh, is it?
Carbon monoxide is a volatile organic compound. And what's going on is the hydroxyl stuff has those oxygens. The ozone has the extra oxygen that it wants to give up. And it gives the CO, carbon monoxide, and makes it CO2.
Wow.
That's the process that's going on with the technology, I believe.
Astronomical. Incredible.
Yeah, David, we really appreciate that. You know, it brings back a memory. I had a partner in a business for 22 years, and his dad, who was a pastor, they owned a rental property, and it was in the winter, and his dad and he were doing some renovation work, and his dad was over there by himself. Nobody else was in there, and by the grace of God, he got to worrying about his dad not making it back for dinner. And but he found his dad next to a broken furnace where the carbon monoxide was leaking, and he was out, and called an ambulance, and he survived, thankfully. But carbon monoxide is just it's a silent killer. And when I worked in the trauma center, we'd have people come in with carbon monoxide poisoning, and the biggest problem with it, besides that you can't smell it, is that it's very, very competitive for the receptor sites on your red blood cells for oxygen. And so it will suck up all those carrier red blood cells, the sites that oxygen molecules would normally attach to, and the carbon monoxide replaces it. And that's why these people come in, and even when they die, they're cherry red, they're pink, like they've gotten tons of oxygen. Well, there's oxygen in the plasma, but the carrier red blood cells aren't getting it out to the cells, and the cells die, especially the brain. So that's a big deal. We appreciate you sharing that.
And I also had carbon monoxide poisoning when I was working on a job. So I experienced it. And it is nothing that you want to go through. It's really, really horrible. So that's very powerful, very powerful.
So in the interest of everyone's time, I would say this: we normally would talk about water. Liddy, do you want to make a couple of comments about water? I'm probably ignoring it today. I'll tell you why.
Yes.
Well, to show you this, as much as I hate to admit, and when you hit this hydrogen fuel cell at the bottom of this bottle, and I think you might be able to see the bubbles starting to come up. And
Wow.
so you're going to infuse this water with hydrogen molecules. And the reason this bottle looks so nice and pretty is because about an hour ago when we were setting up, I knocked mine over and hit the edge of our granite sink and blew apart. So know this too. If you break this bottle, you need to get a replacement bottle. Don't get the top and the bottom, just get the glass. We know from someone who shared earlier that they threw away the whole thing because they thought, that was it. So in 3 minutes, you've got this 14 milliliters or 14 ounces, excuse me, of hydrogenated water. And why that's a big deal is that when you have more hydrogen in the water, you're going to get greater amounts of hydration intracellular. And if you get more hydration intracellular, guess what? If you got more water intracellular, you're going to get more things out of the cell in terms of waste products. So there's some healthy benefits to that. And besides, as I like to say, it doesn't just taste good, it tastes silky. It's just something about what it does to the water. That's how I describe it. And then we also have the living water, which allows you to ramp up pH up and down and clean with it and get pesticides off vegetables. There's just a whole lot of things, more than really we could adequately cover in 45 minutes or so. And Lydia, are you still on? Because
I am.
If you would, if you've got anything else or can close us out, and then we'll stop the recording and let everybody say adios.
Let me find you here, Liddy, so I could.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so I think maybe what I want to say is to, first of all, thank you, David, for sharing your most amazing story. That it gave all of us a great appreciation for the technology and the value of what they put into this technology. So when you take a look at the price of something, I have to say, when you look at the value of 3,000 breaths that we take every day, that's called their couch day, 3,000 gallons a day, and 4,000 when you're active, and you take for granted every breath you take because it's not bottled. And you can choose the clothes you're going to wear, you can choose the food you're going to eat, and you can choose the water you're going to drink. But you know what? You cannot even choose the air you're going to breathe. You become a victim of circumstance. So this is why this conversation is so powerful. Not only to mention that is what God created. So we're taking that, what is called that gift, and somebody had the science and the wherewithal to, look at how to bring all that together and to advance it to where we have it today and to be gifted to all of humanity. Then to top that off, that technology is in the ActivePure. And so that we do not have to use quaternary ammonium. And that means that is in our shampoos, our body washes, our laundry detergents, our dryer sheets, and come on, everybody, baby wipes. We're wiping it on our children, grandchildren, and this is our wake-up time. And then you say, I throw it away. Well, where's away? It's your environment. And what goes around comes around. And so we are actually destroying the very nature of what is our very best friend, because if the trees are dying, they provide us oxygen, we provide them carbon dioxide, and guess what happens? When trees die, people die. That's what they discovered in the satellite shuttle, because they put these potato plants in there, and they said if the human beings in the space and the potatoes die, and the people are going to die. And that was what was discovered. Is that because we're actually creating what is called a sick building environment. We live in a sick building. We have sick building syndrome. So today is what we call wake up time. So we got the air you breathe. We've got the ActivePure, clothes you wear, and your pores are 50 microns in size. When you shower, it goes to 70. And then you launder your towels and everything in quaternary ammonium toxins, and then you rub it in. Hello world. And then you take a shower right before you go to bed, and then you lay in it all night. I mean, think through this. It's kind of like, oh. So think about the nursing homes, think about the daycares, think about all these places you go. Okay. And then we have what is called the living water. And the living water is not dead water, period. It's living water, because it actually delivers the life that you need into the nucleus of the cell. That's called intracellular hydration. I want you to write that down, because the water is microclustered and it passes those two membranes, gets into the nucleus of the cell. and it plumps up your cells, but it delivers the goods. When the goods go in, let's call it the waste goes out. Oh, you mean you don't have to recycle waste? Yeah, this is the game changer. And so we have the technology and it costs a fraction. Now, I happen to know about, the Kangen water machine. And when that came into the US, the people that were bringing it in came to my home and they wanted for me to actually be speaking about that water technology. And I had a couple questions, but I said, $6,000, $6,000 for a piece of equipment. I drink a gallon of water a day, and yeah, I might use it for cooking and so on. But you want to know what? Can I tell you something? You could buy every product we just talked about and a couple more for less than, we're talking about retail pricing here, less than that one machine. And you could have what is called safe living sanctuary. You could have an eco-friendly home. We're trying to help you, help the environment, help the generations to come, because we know what you do today matters for the tomorrows to be. And you got to look in the mirror. You have to say, if it's to be, it is up to me. Don't point the finger. Look in the mirror, look in hard and say, are you worth it? Because every breath you take matters. And what we do know is what you put out and what's you're spraying in your environment goes into your air ducts. And David, behind your head is a sealing air duct, and it's coming down above you. And that's called aerosol assault. So when you have air ducts and coming in, you can go to a hotel and you can go to nursing homes and you can go to these places and hospitals, and the air comes in above you. And you have to say, where did this air come from? Hey, wait a minute. We know that what goes on in one room shows up in another room. Why is that? I have worked with a daycare out on the East Coast. They said we have the plenums are for 2 different parts of the facility. And so that's how the rooms were divided. And the room that had children had some sickness ended up in the other room. Why is that? Because the plenums were attached. This is the conversations we want to have with you. Today is the day to know that you have a simple solution for major problems. And when you know that today is not complicated, get back in touch with the person that invited you to this call and this Zoom room to take a look at what is ActivePure. Active and pure, living water. You deserve the best. And that's the rest. So I thank you all for being on the call. David, again, thank you for your amazing testimony.